In 1959, deep in the rugged peaks of British Columbia, a band of climbers set out on a treacherous expedition. After days of exhaustion and frostbitten struggle, they finally reached the summit at nearly 14,000 feet. But what they found there wasn't snow or stone, it was something far older than mankind and far more sinister. Soon the team began to die one after another under bizarre and unexplained circumstances until only one man remained. Limping from a leg injury, he fixed his hook, gripped his rope, and began a desperate descent. But the mountain wasn't going to let him leave. Echoes of a monstrous roar, or perhaps a chilling call, trailed him as he climbed. Suddenly, his rope jerked violently, held fast by an unseen force pulling upward. With no line left and no escape, he faced an impossible choice: return to face the terror above, or leap into the abyss. He chose the fall. His death was not the end of the story. The expedition's final report reached the hands of a covert government agency. Officials realized an ancient power lingered on that mountain. Fearing the danger, they outlawed all climbs and cut off access to the peak. Decades later, the ban is suddenly lifted. Now nicknamed the Forbidden Wall, the mountain draws a new generation of thrill-seekers armed with advanced equipment and sheer determination. Among them is Sean, a gifted climber whose grandfather perished in the doomed 1959 expedition. Learning that both the government and the local tribe have finally opened the mountain, Sean is resolute. He will join the first official climb in 63 years, no matter the risks. But the permission granted is no simple act of goodwill. Behind the decision lurks the same secret agency, intent on using the climbers as test subjects in a dangerous experiment. Only one operative has been embedded within the group, their identity hidden, tasked with discovering the truth behind the mountain's curse. Through favors and persistence, Sean secures his place on the expedition. Despite his father's desperate pleas to abandon the climb, knowing firsthand what horrors may lie ahead, Sean presses on. He feels an undeniable pull toward the peak, something beyond reason. At base camp, he meets Colton, the leader of the team, who warns that their weather window is short. They must move quickly or risk disaster. Before the ascent, Colton visits the tribe's chief for blessings and instructions. Later, Sean himself encounters the Elder, who reveals a chilling legend. Centuries ago, a malevolent being descended upon their people, slaughtering countless lives. Only rituals and protective wards kept the evil bound, but those seals are weakening. Sean learns that his grandfather had climbed in an attempt to stop it, and now it may fall to him to finish what was started. The chief gifts Sean a carved amulet, a raven spirit meant to guard him from darkness. Meanwhile, tensions rise among the climbers. Carrie, an experienced mountaineer, is furious when Colton excludes her from the summit team, relegating her to radio duty. Promising she'll join a second attempt doesn't ease the sting. Finally, the strategy is set. 10 climbers split into pairs, each taking separate routes to meet at the summit in 3 days' time. No bolts are allowed, only natural anchors, out of respect for the sacred mountain. Safety ropes are mandatory. Recklessness means death. As the team scale the forbidding cliffs, progress is steady until the hallucinations begin. Whispered calls and phantom voices echo in their minds, twisting their perception of reality. Some glimpse horrors that aren't there. Colton forces them onward, but unease spreads like frostbite. Back at camp, Carrie and Rhodey lose contact with the climbers, their radios filling with nothing but static and eerie sounds. Sean recalls the chief's warnings, but his words are dismissed as superstition until Carrie reluctantly listens, realizing that the legend might not be a story after all. Carrie continues to doubt the warnings, insisting that the only dangers out there are human-made nature itself. She argues is neither good nor evil, but when Sean recounts the chief's tale to Justin, the young climber grows unsettled, visibly shaken, and begins questioning whether the climb should go on at all. High on the wall, the lead team presses forward despite pounding headaches and disturbing hallucinations. Brad pushes ahead of his partner Kristen, telling her to hold back. Minutes later, she watches in horror as he unclips his safety line and removes his anchors. Her blood runs cold. Then Brad reappears, only it's not really him anymore. His eyes are pitch black, his movements inhuman as he scrambles up the cliff like a spider. He lashes out at Kristen, cuts their rope, and tosses their gear into the abyss. For a brief second, his true self flickers through the possession, horror crossing his face, then he hurls himself into the void. Kristen, terrified and clinging to the rock by a single hook, radios back through broken static, weeping as she reports Brad's death. Colton, Jesse, Lucky, and Emily hear the call but refuse to stop, leaving Kristen's rescue to Sean and Justin. Carrie, alarmed, orders Sean to reach Kristen and demand the others descend immediately. Kristen, desperate to survive, tries climbing without safety lines but nearly slips to her death. Miraculously, she clings to her last anchor, deciding to wait for help. Sean and Justin scramble up to reach her, but disaster strikes. Justin slips badly, injuring his leg so severely that he can't continue. Carrie, hearing this, tells them to hold position until she can come herself. On her way, the chief intercepts her, handing over Brad's helmet. Its built-in camera holds crucial evidence, which Rhodey stays behind to analyze. Sean, unwilling to wait any longer, takes a reckless gamble. He drops the rope and pushes upward without protection, relying on sheer strength and will. Horrific visions hit him mid-climb. His lost girlfriend appears, nearly luring him to his death. Fighting through the hallucinations, he reaches Kristen and manages to stabilize her for the night. Elsewhere on the mountain, Colton, Emily, Jesse, and Lucky pitch tents at higher elevations, but tensions grow as Emily grows erratic and Colton's obsession with the summit starts to disturb the others. That night, Emily snaps, her eyes turn black, her body twisting unnaturally as she tears at the anchors and attacks Lucky. Screaming like something not human, she scuttles across the cliff like an insect, lunging at Colton and Jesse before slipping and plummeting into the dark. Back at camp, Rhodey pores over the helmet footage and intercepts a strange frequency. Scientists decode it overnight, revealing it's not just noise but a message, an eerie voice repeating, "I'm here, come to me." Terrified, Rhodey realizes the chief was right. Something ancient truly lives within the mountain, calling out to anyone who dares approach. Despite this, Sean and Kristen push on, determined now not just to climb but to catch up with Colton and force a retreat, but Colton refuses. Emily's death only strengthens his obsession and he vows to continue alone if necessary. When Sean reaches him, he volunteers to press on together, leaving Kristen behind for her own safety. At over 4,000 meters, they discover the frozen body of one of the 1959 climbers. Tensions boil over. Colton accuses Sean of being a government spy, convinced there are two agents hidden within the team. Sean meanwhile believes Colton himself might be possessed, the mountain using him as a pawn. Their argument ends abruptly when Kristen arrives, astonishingly climbing solo without ropes. The three stumble upon a strange carved stone embedded in the summit, clearly unnatural and radiating malevolence. That's when Kristen reveals the truth. She is the second undercover agent, tasked with reaching the top and investigating the artifact. Sean suddenly realizes he's caught between two operatives, both with secrets, both willing to silence anyone who gets in their way. Before either can act, Rhodey's voice cuts through the radio with urgent news. Rhodey breaks through the static with a dire warning. He believes the demonic force is no longer lurking in the mountain, but inside one of them. He urges the climbers to use their radios to expose the traitor before it's too late. But as his voice fades, it becomes clear the entity isn't with Sean, Colton, or Kristen. Then, chaos erupts. Lucky, already overtaken by the darkness, drags himself to the summit. His eyes glow with an unnatural black void, his movements wild and inhuman. After brutally turning on Jesse, he now has only one goal: to slaughter everyone who remains. With no regard for safety, he discards the ropes and hurls himself at the others. At that moment, the strange stone begins to resonate, emitting an unsettling hum that seems to fuel the possession. The dark spirit leaps into Kristen, twisting her body and mind. Her eyes glaze into black pits as she snaps Lucky's neck and sends his corpse tumbling into the abyss. Then she turns on Sean. Just when it seems he'll be next, the tribal chief invokes the protection of his ancestors. Two spectral warriors rise, battling the entity within Kristen. In the struggle, Sean remembers the amulet the chief gave him, the carved wooden handle said to hold the raven's spirit. With no other choice, he smashes it against the ancient stone. The impact releases a powerful energy that fractures the evil presence, breaking its grip at last. Kristen collapses back into herself, horrified at what she has done. Colton, battered and bleeding, warns them grimly that this is far from finished. His words barely leave his mouth before he falls, succumbing to his injuries. With their ropes and gear destroyed, Sean reveals his last desperate plan, a hidden parachute. Strapping it on, he and Kristen leap from the cursed peak, gliding down to safety. It feels like the ordeal is finally over, but shadows still linger. The government is already planning another mission, and Colton's body stirs once more. The evil hasn't been destroyed, it simply found a new vessel. Fear is often seen as weakness, a barrier that keeps us from greatness. But what if fear is really a warning, an instinct protecting us from truths too terrible to face? When the unknown whispers in the dark, do you press forward or do you listen and turn back? Let me know what you would do in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one.